because everything about Kamala Harris rollout, it's phony and it's fake. Did you see when President Obama and Michelle called? Did you see? Hello? Hello? Yes. Yes. Who is this? Oh, this is Michelle and Barack. Oh. So surprised to hear. They got 4 cameras in front. Oh, I'm so surprised. It's on speakerphone. Listen, we just want to congratulate you on destroying Joe Biden. I mean, on winning the... Hey, is Joe Biden gonna... Was that the phoniest phone call you've ever seen?
Okay, so we're going to look at this clip here of this panel on CBS News, this panel of propagandists. These people who claim to be independent journalists, but they're nothing but shields and arms for the Democrat Party, as we're going to see in a few minutes. So these guys are still living in La La Land. These guys are still high off of the copium and this honeymoon phase of Kamala Harris, believing that she's actually a good, sound, quality nominee. And remember, the Democrats didn't get to vote for their nominee, the Democrat voters. The leaders, the communist leaders, Barack Obama, the power brokers, the big money donors, Nancy Pelosi, them, these guys selected and installed the nominee and told their sheep-ass voters that this is who it's going to be. And these voters said, okay, yes ma'am, yes sir, feel right in line. But let's get into this panel here and see what these fools got to say.
The top line numbers a little earlier, Weijia, suggesting that we are back to a tie and that there's certainly some wind at the back of the vice president. How is the Harris campaign planning to capitalize on this newfound enthusiasm?
Well, this week she's going to be getting a lot of miles, Ed, crisscrossing the country, going right to battleground states.
I couldn't hold it in. She's going to be getting a lot of them out. I'm not even going to go there.
With her running mate, of course, we don't know exactly who that is yet, but whoever it is going to be will be at her side, and they really want to.
Hey, Kamala, she doesn't even know because she was selected and installed, and the VP is going to be selected too. She doesn't know anything about selecting a running mate.
Use this week to, as you mentioned, drum up even more energy, even more enthusiasm, because they know it's a fleeting moment. I mean, we were in a fundraiser with the vice president, and she was very direct and said, look, we are the underdogs. Despite what the polls say, despite what we're seeing at rallies, we still have a lot of work to do. So, they're trying to use what they can and use this big announcement to really set that up.
And it's such BS when they talk about, the Democrats, Kamala, she's an underdog, because they've painted this horrific picture of Trump. Got major social media, thank goodness that Elon ran a hostile takeover of Twitter, because most of social media is against Trump. The mainstream liberal media is against Trump. All the power structures, the institutions, everything is against Trump. They tried to bankrupt this man. The Secret Service looks like they're against Trump. We know the FBI is against Trump. Tried to kill a man, tried to bankrupt him, tried to throw him in jail, but Kamala's an underdog, please. They're just trying to lower expectations because when she falls on her face, because she's a trash candidate, we were the underdogs the whole time. Trump had all the momentum. Stop it.
And Amy, you wrote in a recent piece that despite this shift in polling and the enthusiasm for the vice president, the fundamentals of the race are still leaning in Trump's direction. Yeah. Remind the viewer why.
Yeah, and Anthony also highlighted this too. She is new, and yet she's not new. She's new to a lot of voters. She's not defined very well in the minds of a lot of voters, but she is the incumbent. And the incumbent party right now has a lot of baggage, notably the frustration about the state of the economy, what we saw in the CBS poll, what we're seeing in other polling like the Wall Street Journal poll, where Donald Trump still has a sizable lead on who do you think would do a better job on the economy, who would do a better job on handling the border. On the question of who has better temperament to be president, Harris has a significant advantage there. Yeah. And this was the case that the Biden...
Oh, man, so much crap right there. How can you be new yet the incumbent at the same time? Doesn't even make sense. You're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Because, again, they're trying to lower expectations. Well, the people don't really know her. That's why Trump's in the lead. But once the people get to know her, that she's a far left radical, a San Francisco Democrat, then the people are going to like her. And temperament, did you guys see that video clip of her bragging about her power when she was Attorney General? Look, with the swipe of my pen, I can just take Joe Blow off the street and just throw him in jail right off the back. off of nothing. I can just make up some charges, throw his ass in jail. He might lose his job. He's going to be publicly embarrassed. He's going to have to pay for a lawyer. And then I say, you know what? Case dismissed. I'll just leave him alone. That's temperament. That's what you call good temperament. Keeping people in jail for slave labor, indentured servitude in California. Yep, good temperament.
Had been making for months and months and months, right? If we can make this election a referendum on Trump rather than about a referendum on the current state of the economy, then we have a real opportunity to win here.
Boom. That's it right there. That's the entire media plan. She just exposed the entire plan. Let's make this campaign a referendum on Trump. Let's not talk about the economy. The economy is trash. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Bidenomics has been an utter failure. Complete trash. Inflation, houses completely unaffordable, rent skyrocketing, an utter disaster. We've seen gas prices spiking. But let's not talk about that. Let's say Trump is a bad man. Orange man bad. That's all you guys need to know. You voters, look, we're not going to discuss anything about the interest rates. We're not going to discuss why your landlord spiked your rent up 30% over 1 year. No. Let's not talk about that. Let's just say orange man bad. Don't ask any questions. Don't ask what the economic plan is. Don't ask why food is so goddamn expensive. Just remember, we don't have any mean tweets right now. We don't have to look at Orange Man. So vote for this alleged black lady.
Here, what Harris has been able to do is not just get the energy up among the base, but the focus is now back onto Donald Trump. And thanks to this interview here, the reminder that when the focus does go back onto Donald Trump, it doesn't always end well for the campaign and the campaign message.
I thought it was telling. The one thing I heard Senator Cotton saying is, everyone else in recent years has had to go through years of this or months of this, town hall meetings and interviews and, big stories written about, and she's doing this in 90 days, in essence trying to set the table for, once again, it was unfair for us. And that's kind of what I'm hearing. I don't know if you're hearing that at all, Kadir, from Republicans.
Yeah, definitely. It's coming out of the Trump campaign saying that she, and handed the election. And I think it's just part of this setup to probably say the election wasn't fair if Donald Trump doesn't win. We've been seeing this, and also just how they're categorized and everything. But there is a race to kind of define her at this.
This is why I call these people communists. You see how she's defending what the Democrats did? So the Democrat voters are too smooth-brained. These people can't compute what the Democrats have done to them, what Obama, what the power brokers, the big donors, what they did to the voters. They suppressed their voters. They got these people out here in Georgia and other states protesting about voter suppression, but at the same time, the Democrats suppressed the vote, stole the votes, told the Democrat voters, you don't get to pick, you don't get to choose, we're going to install a candidate and you're going to go along with it. And we have a communist, so-called journalist right here, a communist propagandist, sitting here defending it. Oh, she was installed, it wasn't fair, but she's defending it, acting like it's not a big issue. Let the Republicans do something like that, which will never happen because the Republican Party doesn't operate the same way. The voters in a party don't operate the same way. The voters wouldn't sit there and take it. But a Democrat propagandist, a communist like this lady, she's sitting here defending what happened and acting like it's not a big deal at all.
Point. And the race is between the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign, right? Trump is on the stump post talking about, questioning her identity, her racial identity, but also
as he should.
The Harris people need to, push forward with this. This little bump that we see is coming from her base,
right,
or young voters that she's been able to convince or, rally. She needs to. Independent voters are the people who are going to decide this race, and she needs to, I don't know if the prosecutor's move is what they want to hear.
It's been the subject of early.
Well, that's the best thing they said during this entire little communist discussion, that the only people who are rallied behind Kamala Harris are these hard-line left-wing Democrats and the people who are sold a lie believing that Kamala is black. So they're voting for her solely off of identity politics. Allegedly, she's a woman and she claims that she's black even though she's South Asian. And most South Asian people are swarthy, brown skin like that. But she lies and says she's black. So a lot of that base of fools, they're going to vote for her because of that. And the hard left-wing, oh, we hate Trump, oh, Project 2025, completely buying into all this propaganda. They're going to vote for her. But when it comes to independent people, when it comes to people who are paying even a little bit of attention, they can easily see through all of this BS. And her campaign is going to collapse under the weight of all of these lies. that's why we have these panels of propagandists. These people are trying to reassure the American people, no, the Democrat Party is still great. The Democrat Party is awesome. The Republicans are mean and evil. Trump is bad. So forget anything that you think happened. If you think the leaders of the Democrats suppressed votes, it's not a big deal. Just vote Democrat because Orange Man bad. That's the entire point of this, is to try to sell the American people a shit sandwich.
Advertising,
Yeah.
reminding people that she was an attorney
If you
general.
watch her advertising and what the candidates say is really important. But what their ads are saying, is telling you really what they want the campaign to be about.
Right.
And Harris is not just leaning to the prosecutor, but about the economy. She's talking a great deal about that. So they understand that if Trump has a double-digit lead on who's doing a better job on the economy, that's going to be really tough for them to overcome.
Now, we are sitting here with bated breath, waiting to figure
That's why they don't want to have that discussion.
running mate. The poll has some sense of what Democrats broadly are looking for, right?
Yes, it's a lot of things because, people have their wants and then you kind of turn them into strategists a little bit. So one of the things we asked is, should it be somebody from a battleground state? And there's a high percentage who say, yeah, it should be. And there's also a split between those who want to see a moderate and those who want to see a liberal. In the abstract, that's the kind of thing that happens. But it also goes back to this point about what people don't know about Harris. Obviously, this is a first big decision that people will see her make. And there's still that 1 in 5 people when we ask, do you feel you know enough about her yet? Or do you feel like you still can know more? This is one of those telling moments where it's going to be, okay, this is part.
Well, the Democrat Party doesn't want the people to know more. That's why she hasn't given interviews. That's why she's ducking. She tells Trump anytime, anywhere. But Trump went to the National Association of Black Propagandists. He went to their meeting last week. She was supposed to be there, didn't show up. Trump said, okay, let's meet on Fox News on September 4th. She ducked that one. So she doesn't want to be exposed. She doesn't want the American people to get to know her more. They'll get to know that she's a lying sack of shit. She's not even black. They'll get to know that she's for Medicare for all, wants to eliminate private health care. They'll get to know that she, like I said before, ran slave labor in the state of California. They'll get to know that she was labeled as the most liberal person in the Senate back in, 2019, 2020? So the Democrats are going to do their best to try to hide her. She knows absolutely nothing about foreign policy. She doesn't know anything about economic policy. She will be nothing but an empty suit puppet, just like Joe Biden. Maybe her mind is a little bit more sound than Joe Biden, but she'll have these lobbyists and these advisors running the White House, making all of the decisions. We might enter World War III because we have a dumbass left-wing lunatic who knows nothing, just an empty suit, letting these warmongers, letting these profiteers make all the decisions for her, just like Joe Biden. So, of course, the Democrats are going to do their best to try to hide her, just like they hid Joe Biden in the basement. They've accustomed their dumbass voters to not being able to hear from their politicians and just follow orders. So they're going to keep trying to run the same game as they have this Indian, this South Asian lioness fraud lady in a position to become the next president.
Part of that knowing more is this decision.
So, Weijia, how are they approaching this decision?
Well, this is a very short time frame for the vice president. What has been communicated very clearly is that we should actually not expect a decision by the end of the weekend because she's been on the road. She's been very busy with small windows to really focus on this monumental decision. And so, we know that she is meeting in person with at least 3 Democratic governors at her residence here in Washington today. We also know that she's having interviews in person and virtually with people who are not in the media.
Well, the thing about that is Kamala Harris doesn't get to select who our vice president is. That's enough of that. But the power brokers, the same people who installed her, are going to select the vice president. She knows absolutely nothing about this. The Democrat Party is a machine, like Vivek said, is a machine, is a gigantic blob. It's kind of like what I was talking about with these Democrat mayors of these large cities like Eric Adams, Brandon Johnson, and they're managers. They're not really mayors like back in the day where they ran their cities to the best of their knowledge, how they felt about things, the way they analyze things. Now they're just managers. They're people who are put in these seats. They're installed because they don't get to make decisions, like letting all those illegal immigrants in. A normal Democrat mayor who made his own decisions wouldn't allow that. But because the machine dictates this, they have to allow it. Just like Joe Biden having to drop out of the race, Kamala Harris being installed, the Democrat voters not getting to decide anything. The machines decide this. The machine decides who's the vice presidential nominee. The machine decides if they're going to send foreign aid over here and there and neglect the American people. The individuals in the Democrat Party who you believe are leaders like Joe Biden, like Kamala Harris, they're nothing but puppets. They're empty suits being told what to do by big power brokers behind the scenes. So let me know what you guys think. Leave me your thoughts below. Share the video. Thanks for watching.